The United States didn't rise to global power. It collapsed, fractured beyond repair, and watched its future get erased, not by a foreign empire, but by a single moment it could never undo. America likes to remember the Civil War as painful, but inevitable, as if the Union was always destined to survive. It wasn't. The country was already fragile. Its economy split in two, its politics poisoned, its military inexperienced, its people armed, angry, and willing to burn the nation down over a single question: who controls America's future? And for 4 years, the answer was uncertain. Washington was one defeat away from disaster, one battlefield away from losing legitimacy, one decision away from watching the United States stop existing as a unified power. Most people don't realize how close it came. Here's the moment everything breaks. In this timeline, the Confederacy doesn't just survive, it becomes a nation, not through fantasy, not through miracles, just one realistic shift. In 1862, instead of a bloody stalemate, the Confederacy wins a decisive victory in the East. Union morale collapses. European observers stop waiting. Britain and France, desperate for Southern cotton, wary of a rising American empire, make their move. They recognize the Confederacy as an independent country. And with that single act, the United States loses control of history. The Union is no longer fighting rebels. It's fighting a sovereign nation backed by global powers. And the American experiment begins to unravel. Recognition changes everything overnight. Southern ports reopen under British naval protection. Cotton floods European markets again. Confederate currency stabilizes. Meanwhile, the Union faces a nightmare. Its blockade is suddenly illegal. Its navy risks war with Britain. Its war economy, already strained, starts bleeding money at an uncontrollable rate. Northern cities erupt in unrest. Draft riots intensify. Factories slow as foreign trade dries up. For the first time, Americans begin asking a forbidden question: is this war even winnable anymore? And while Washington hesitates, the Confederacy digs in. The war doesn't end cleanly. It decays. The Union Army keeps fighting, but now every victory feels hollow. Every loss feels catastrophic. Congress fractures. Peace factions grow louder. Presidential authority weakens. Abraham Lincoln isn't remembered as a savior here. He's remembered as the man who couldn't stop the collapse. Border states panic. Kentucky and Missouri flirt with neutrality, or worse, defection. The United States is no longer united. It's a shrinking empire fighting itself. And then comes the breaking point. A failed northern offensive ends with tens of thousands dead and no territorial gain. The public snaps. Washington is forced to negotiate, not surrender, not victory, partition. The Confederate States of America is formally recognized as a permanent nation. The United States survives, but barely, and it will never be the same again. Two Americas now stare at each other across a hostile border. The consequences are immediate and permanent. The U.S. loses access to southern ports. Its trade routes shrink. Its agricultural base fractures. The American economy slows just as Europe accelerates. Railroads stall. Industry stagnates. Investment flows overseas instead of into American growth. Meanwhile, the Confederacy becomes something darker. Slavery doesn't collapse. It hardens. With international legitimacy, Southern elites entrench their system. Industrial reform slows. Human bondage becomes state policy, protected by treaties and foreign interests. And the rest of the world takes note. America isn't a rising superpower anymore. It's two rival states locked in permanent hostility. Britain wins big. A divided America can't challenge British naval dominance, can't threaten Canada, can't project power across the Atlantic. France expands influence in Mexico without fear of U.S. intervention. There is no Monroe Doctrine enforcement, no American pressure. Russia sells Alaska not to a confident Union, but to a weakened state desperate for cash. By the early 20th century, global power looks very different. No unified United States means no American-led industrial surge, no decisive entry into World War I, no clear Western hegemon. European empires linger longer. Colonialism persists. Global conflicts become bloodier without a balancing superpower. And when global war eventually comes, America doesn't save the world. It watches from the sidelines, divided, cautious, irrelevant. This wasn't inevitable. The United States didn't rise because it was destined to. It rose because it barely survived its own destruction. One battlefield, one diplomatic decision, one moment of hesitation. That's all it would have taken. A Confederate nation would have shattered American power before it was ever born. And the world you live in today, its alliances, its wars, its dominance would never exist. History didn't just turn. It narrowly escaped collapse. So here's the question that still matters. If the Confederacy had become a permanent nation, would the United States eventually collapse completely or limp forward as a divided, second-rate power? Drop your answer below. History only looks inevitable after it survives.